Welcome back, everybody. What is this game again? Oh yeah, it's Open Transport Tycoon Deluxe. Last episode, we built a whole bunch, we upgraded even more, and we destroyed a bunch of cities. We got the network flowing nicely, but then my senseless train conquest caused a jam in our Sideline junction. And now it's time to clean up our mess. Actually, it's my mess, but you watched, so you're an accessory to my crimes. Now, we already have 2 lanes going west, so we're gonna have to upgrade the east lines to have 2 lanes as well. This means upgrading both the Sideline hub and the Backbone hub at either ends. And now we have the completed Sideline upgrade. As you can see, the main line comes in from the left side, and since we're only double tracking from here up until the Backbone hub down the track, we can actually split the main line right here and have the Sideline hub merge into both sides. And now we get to upgrade Backbone hub 1. Now I really flubbed this upgrade, like no sugarcoating, this was a huge mess. And the thing is, it gets even more messy later this episode. So I think that sometime in the future I will definitely do a rebuild of this whole junction. All I'm really doing here is weaving in a new eastbound line, but to do that I had to shift around a lot of the previous tracks so I could fit more bridges in to bridge over the center. And like I said, it turned into a huge mess. I think I'm just gonna skip the explanation after it's finished and just try to erase this from my memory. Now the upgrades are finished and it seems like the jam is cleared up. And yes, I do see the curve that's a little too short for these trains. And no, I don't fix it this episode. It's cool seeing our train flow on the vehicle map. This map view is actually pretty helpful for spotting jams, or really just looking at traffic density. And now we've got a jam at Backbone Hub 2. I swear, you solve one jam and then 2 sprout in its place. These trains are backed up all the way to the Sawmill Hub. The only way to solve this jam is to build a 3rd northbound line stretching all the way from Backbone Hub 2 to the Backbone Hub that we just upgraded. That means upgrading 4 junctions to handle those 3 northbound lines. I'll start by upgrading the main station hub that's right in front of Backbone Hub 2. Now when upgrading this, I had a moment of weakness in regard to my terraforming. I think the Lorax would blast me if you showed him this footage, so we're gonna keep it hush-hush and just not talk about it. And we're just gonna hide the evidence, nothing to see here. And I explained how the merge to this main station hub worked last episode. It used to split into the 2 mainline tracks, and now it splits into 3. And now we get to upgrade Sideline Hub 3 to handle the extra northbound line. This upgrade was actually pretty smooth. You don't really have to worry about the throughput to and from the sideline, so things like double bridges usually aren't needed, and that ends up saving a lot of space. That wasn't so bad. I think my only regret with this whole network is making both the northbound and southbound lines so close together. With no space in between, it makes it really hard to handle connections in and out of the main line. I forgot to hit the record button while I upgraded this backbone hub. Just know that it's even more of a mess than it was earlier. And now for the final piece of the puzzle. We just have to add an extra outgoing lane to Backbone Hub 2. You know that proper merger I built last episode? Well, we have to destroy it and build an even larger one in its place. Now that we're encroaching into 3-lane territory, our process for building these junctions becomes more and more deranged. You have to start using the space as efficiently as possible, weaving tracks wherever they're able to fit. You'll see that as I'm working on this, I'll rebuild the same section multiple times. I'm trying to make the merger more compact, to provide the space for more track weaving and hopefully a more balanced output. And the 3-lane upgrade is finally complete. I'll likely have to mess with the signals a bit to make sure that the outputs are all balanced, but most of the hard work is done. The trains are now using the 3rd lane and the jam has cleared itself up. The northbound lines here are mostly trafficked by goods trains, so I think this upgrade should hold for a little while. And now it's time to give some love to our home. Chugtopia is in major need of a transport expansion, and we're gonna give it to them in the form of a bus network. And I'm gonna section off some land here so I can cleanly define the city limits. For my own sanity, I've disabled the setting that lets towns build their own roads, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill in this space with roads for the town to grow through. And now I'm gonna put in a little work to make this area look a little nicer. I've added a handful of scenery mods into the game save. Here's an updated list of all the mods I'm using. Most of these haven't changed. The bottom 4 listings are the new mods I've added. And I tried to get a nice spread of scenery objects that would look good in both an industrial and a city setting, but I'll probably end up having to add more in the future. Now I'm pretty aimless when it comes to scenery in this game. I don't have much experience with it. It is something I'm trying to get better at though. I'd like for the peninsula to be covered in scenery by the end of the playthrough, especially the whole factory station area. Now I haven't added much yet, but a few episodes from now we're gonna look back and wonder how it was ever so barren. Now last episode, I mentioned how my goal for this series was to get at least 500 trains, but can't I just plop down 300 more trains to fill the gap? Enter the train counting technique. Instead of counting the literal number of trains, you only count the number of trains that were profitable last year. In our case, 7 trains were not profitable. So we subtract that from our total and get 263 trains. We're doing train math. And speaking of trains, it's time to do some primary station maintenance and add some more. We're getting pretty close to 300. I want to build a station for these 2 iron mines. They're already pretty close to the iron ore drop, so I'm just going to build a truck station and truck the cargo over there. When we get to adding scenery to the steel area, I think the road interaction with the trucks will look pretty cool. I'm gonna reroute part of the main line to wrap around this mountain here. There's a handful of primary industries around here, and I think it'd be a good idea to build another sideline hub to service them. Moving the main line over will give us the space to build the sideline hub, plus I think it'll look pretty cool having the tracks follow the coastline. Our new tracks are looking pretty scenic. I really like how the terrain generator makes these flat edges on the sides of every landmass. I'm sad that eventually I will have to do some level of terraforming to fit more lanes through here. Now that the tracks have been moved, I can start construction on the new sideline. There wasn't much space to work with, so I had to make this as compact as possible. There we go. SLH, Sideline Hub, 04. Now we can start connecting the primary industries up to the sideline. I'm really just after these 2 iron mines. Iron is very underutilized at the moment, so I think it's a good idea to pick up as many as we can. Due to the space limitations, I did have to make some of these curves a little too short for the trains. But considering this sideline only services 2 stations, I think the penalties from the slowdowns won't hurt the throughput too much. There's still one resource that I've completely neglected up until this point. There's tons of oil on this map that I've yet to take advantage of. Oil can be delivered to a refinery, which will then in turn produce goods. Since the oil refinery follows the same drop and pick up formula that our factory does, I'm going to combine the refinery with the factory into one large industry station. So now the oil trains can continue using the same drop point as the farm trains, and the trains that pick up goods can just have some extra goods at the station produced by the refinery. There's quite a few oil rigs dotted around one of our sidelines. They're pretty far out in the ocean though. What I'm going to do is build a combination boat and train station. Boats will go and collect cargo from the oil rigs, and then bring it back to the station and transfer it to any waiting trains. I've color-coded the boats, so I know which oil rig they belong to. These boats have a pretty large carrying capacity for oil, which makes them a great option for transferring from an oil rig to a train station. I'm in a decorating mood today, so I do put a bit of time into making the station look nice. I'm still trying to get used to doing scenery in this game, but the more effort I put into it, the more I get out of it. CHUGTOPIA will be rewarded by all this practice in due time. It might not be the most realistic station, but I think it's got a nice flow to it. I still have to figure out a way to mask the terrain edges. Their reddish clay coloring really clashes with the grays here. With the influx of goods produced by our new oil trains, our goods trains are struggling to keep up. This is a great opportunity to flood the network with some more trains. Our sawmill goods have been piling up as well. It's funny seeing this station compared to our factory peninsula. Our sawmill station has all the space in the world, but it doesn't use it. It seems like flooding the network was a bad idea. Backbone Hub 1 has a jam. Again. I tried messing with the priority on the tracks that were clashing, but to no avail. It seems like no matter what I do, one lane gets backed up. I think in the next episode, I'm gonna have to add a second southbound lane and upgrade those 4 junctions again. Yippee! That's all I got for this episode. I'll make sure to put an updated mod list in the description. I've also been working on a much longer video than I usually make, covering a cooperative save that I've been building with some of my Transport Tycoon colleagues. The building there is a lot more intense than I'm doing in this series, and we're already over 1,000 trains there. I've got about 10 hours of footage to edit still, and we're actually not done building yet, so it'll be out when it's out. Alright, I'll quit yapping. Get out of here.